Sometimes experiences that happen to us in our childhood can leave a negative imprint which can affect us throughout our lives. And I'm going to talk a bit about how you can overcome that in this video. The poet Philip Larkin summed it up quite eloquently when he said, "They you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the faults they had and add some extra just for you. But they were up in their turn by fools in old-style hats and coats, who half the time were soppy stern and half at one another's throats. Man hands on misery to man, it deepens like a coastal shelf. Get out as early as you can, and don't have any kids yourself." Well, I can't say that I agree with that last line because, after all, if everybody did that, the human race would become extinct fairly quickly. And I probably wouldn't put it in so coarse a language. But he does have a point because often things get passed on from your parents, from your grandparents. People do things in the same old way without really giving it a great deal of thought. However, you're grown up now, so you don't have to carry on doing things in the same way as the past. And you certainly don't have to raise your own kids the same way that your parents raised you, especially if it was something that you didn't like or something that you now know doesn't work. So here are 4 steps to overcoming negative childhood imprinting. Step 1 is to acknowledge that there is a problem, because once you acknowledge there is a problem, then you're halfway to finding a solution. Step 2 is to write down all of the negative traits you've inherited from your parents or whoever. Do they make sense? And actually, some of the things that you might perceive as negative now would actually have a basis in fact. These are things that made sense years ago, but they're not relevant anymore. So you want to separate the two. And step 3, you want to go through each point and ask yourself, does this apply to me anymore? And most likely the answer will be no. So think back to the time that you were first exposed to this negative trait and compare that time to your life now. Perhaps you had a teacher when you were at school who was always holding you up to ridicule, somebody for whom you could never do anything right, and that dented your confidence. Well, I'm guessing that you're not at school now and you probably haven't seen this person for a long time. So does it really matter what they think? Everybody's different. Everybody has a different opinion, and you don't need to impress that one person anymore. Which leads me to step number 4, which is to make a conscious effort not to do that irrelevant negative thing anymore. You could use a mantra and or NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, to reprogram your brain to break the habit. One thing, though, is you must keep all your mantras positive. It should be, I will do this, or I am this, I am good at this, not I will not do such and such. You want to keep your mantras positive so that they can have a positive guiding effect on your life. And don't try and rush things. Only try to undo one negative trait at a time. And then once you've done that, move on to the next one and the next one and the next one and so on. Now, sometimes things go beyond just a negative imprinting. Sometimes you may have to deal with childhood trauma. Maybe you had a very upsetting childhood. Maybe you suffered abuse in your childhood, physical abuse or emotional abuse or sexual abuse. And that's causing you to have real problems in your adult life. Real psychological phobias or a very detrimental effect on your life. These are things that are really clouding your life, that are really causing you immense emotional or psychological or sometimes even physical pain. And in those cases, just simply making up your mind that you're not going to let this bother you anymore isn't going to be a solution. So in those cases, you need to seek professional help. You need to seek professional psychological help. A lot of people are reluctant to do this, but we live in more enlightened times now, and it's nothing to feel ashamed of. If you broke your leg, you wouldn't be afraid of going to see your doctor because your leg needs mending. But if you've got some emotional damage, really severe emotional damage, then you do need to get it sorted, and you do need to get some professional help. Just simply reciting a mantra probably isn't going to help you in that particular case. So there you go, just some ways that you can overcome negative childhood imprinting.